Marcus Washington's fist went through the hospital wall the night his son died. 7 years old. Leukemia. Gone. The nurses pretended not to see the hole he left, or the blood on his knuckles, or the way a grown man could shatter when his whole world stopped breathing. 6 years later, he was mopping floors in a building where people made millions, and nobody knew his name. Until the day a CEO's daughter pressed broken glass to her wrist, and Marcus did the one thing that would destroy him all over again. He chose to care. Comment what city you're watching from. Because this story is going to hurt before it heals. I'm going to kill myself. The 8-year-old's voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes after you've already made peace with death. Marcus Washington stood in the doorway of the executive lounge on the 42nd floor of Pierce Global Industries, his hand still on the handle of his cleaning cart, and watched a little black girl hold a shard of mirror glass against her wrist. Her mother designer suit Pearl's mascara running was frozen on her knees 3 feet away, hands outstretched like she was trying to catch something falling. Amara, baby, please don't. I want to be with Daddy. The child's hand shook but didn't lower. You said Daddy's in heaven, so I'll go there too. Marcus should have backed out, should have called security, should have done anything except what he did next. He walked into the room and sat down on the floor, right there, cross-legged, 15 feet from a suicidal child and her terrified mother. His janitor uniform, navy blue with Washington, stitched over the pocket, wrinkled as he settled in. Amara, he said. His voice was quiet, steady, the same voice he'd used with Jamal during the bad nights. My name is Marcus, and I need to tell you something before you do that. The little girl's eyes snapped to him, brown eyes, huge, drowning. Who the hell are you? The mother's voice cracked with panic and rage. Get out, this is private. Ma'am. Marcus didn't look at her, kept his eyes on the child. That little girl is about to cut herself open, so with all due respect, I'm not leaving. I'm calling security. Mom, stop. Amara's voice was sharp. Let him talk. The mother fell silent. Marcus saw her face, beautiful, exhausted, destroyed, and recognized himself in it. Amara, you know what I did the night my son died. Marcus leaned back against the wall. Casual, like they were talking about the weather. I put my fist through a hospital wall, broke 2 knuckles, didn't even feel it. The child's eyes widened slightly. The glass lowered 1/2 inch. How old was your son? 7. His name was Jamal. What happened to him? Cancer, leukemia. We tried everything. Chemo, radiation, clinical trials. Spent 18 months watching him disappear piece by piece. Marcus's voice didn't waver. He'd told this story in his head 1,000 times, never out loud. The night he died, I was holding his hand. He looked at me and said, Daddy, I'm really tired. I told him it was okay to rest, and then he closed his eyes and never opened them again. Amara's hand trembled. That's so sad. Yeah, it is. Did you want to die too? Marcus met her eyes. Didn't lie. Every single day for 3 years. The mother gasped. Amara just stared. Why didn't you? Because I was too much of a coward. Marcus smiled, but it was bitter. Dying is easy. Living, actually getting up every morning when your heart is full of broken glass, that's the hard part. And I'm really, really good at doing hard things I don't want to do. I'm not good at that. Amara's voice got smaller. Everything hurts all the time, and everybody keeps telling me it'll get better, but it's been 6 months, and it doesn't get better. It just gets different kinds of bad. You're right. It does. The little girl blinked. You're not going to tell me it gets better. No, I'm going to tell you the truth. It doesn't get better. It gets different. Some days you'll wake up and forget for 5 seconds that your dad is dead, and it'll feel like breathing. And then you'll remember, and it'll feel like drowning all over again. Amara's face crumpled. Fresh tears. Then why should I keep living? Because there are people who need you to. Your mom, for one. She doesn't need me. She has her company, she has her work, she has everything. Marcus glanced at the mother who was crying silently now, one hand pressed to her mouth. Amara, look at your mom. The child didn't want to. Marcus waited. Finally, she turned her head. You see that? She's not crying because she's weak. She's crying because you're her whole world, and she's watching you try to leave it. You know what that feels like? Amara shook her head. It feels like your heart is being ripped out of your chest while it's still beating. I know because that's how I felt when Jamal died. And you know what the worst part was? What? I didn't get to say goodbye. He just went to sleep and didn't wake up. So I never got to tell him all the things I needed to say, all the things I should have said every day but didn't because I thought we had more time. Marcus leaned forward, not close enough to grab her, just close enough to matter. If you do this, Amara, your mom doesn't get to say goodbye. She doesn't get to tell you all the things she needs you to know. And that glass you're holding, it doesn't just cut you. It cuts her too, forever. And she'll spend the rest of her life wondering what she could have done different. The little girl's hand was shaking harder now. The glass slipped, bounced on the carpet. I miss my daddy so much. I know. It's not fair. No, it's not. Why did he have to die? I don't know. I asked God the same thing about Jamal. Never got an answer I liked. Amara started crying. Real crying. The kind that comes from deep in your chest where the pain lives. Marcus didn't move. Didn't try to hug her or comfort her or tell her it would be okay. He just sat there, present, solid, a witness to her breaking. The mother started to reach for her daughter, but Marcus held up one hand. Stop. Let her cry. Let it out. It took 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a child sobbing out 6 months of grief while her mother watched and a janitor sat on the floor and held space. When Amara finally stopped, she looked at Marcus with red, swollen eyes. Will you stay? Stay where? Here. With me. I don't want to be alone. Marcus's throat tightened. I'll stay as long as you need me to. Promise. He thought about all the promises he'd made to Jamal. All the ones he'd broken. All the ways he'd failed the one person who'd needed him most. Yeah, I promise. Amara crawled across the floor, still not touching him, but closer, and curled up into a ball about 3 feet away. Like a wounded animal seeking shelter near something that felt safe. The mother was staring at Marcus like he'd performed a miracle. He hadn't. He'd just told the truth. Sometimes that's all people need. Who are you? She whispered. Marcus Washington? Night custodial staff. You're a janitor. Yes, ma'am. How did you... She gestured helplessly at her daughter, now quiet, now breathing, now alive. 9 therapists, 6 months, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you just... Marcus stood slowly. His knees popped. He was getting old. Ma'am, those therapists tried to fix your daughter. I didn't try to fix her. I just sat with her in it. In what? The pain, the grief, the unfairness of it all. He picked up his cleaning supplies. You can't fix grief. You can only survive it, and you can't survive it alone. He started toward the door. Wait, Vivian Pierce, because that's who she was. Though Marcus didn't know it yet, stood on shaking legs. What's your name again? Marcus Washington. I'm Vivian Pierce. This is my daughter Amara. And Her voice broke. I need to hire you. Marcus stopped. Turned. Ma'am, I'm not qualified to... I don't care about qualifications. I care about the fact that my daughter was about to kill herself, and you're the first person in 6 months who made her want to stay alive. Vivian wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing her makeup. She looked nothing like a CEO now, just a desperate mother. Please, I'll pay you whatever you want. It's not about money. Then what is it about? Marcus looked at Amara, still curled up on the floor, clutching her knees. Looked at Vivian standing there with her whole world hanging in the balance. Looked at his own reflection in the window behind them, a broken man in a janitor's uniform who hadn't felt useful in 6 years. I need to think about it. Please don't think too long. I'm losing her. Every day I'm losing more of her, and I don't know how to stop it. Marcus nodded once and left. The rest of his shift was a blur. He mopped floors he'd mopped 1,000 times, emptied trash cans, cleaned bathrooms. His hands moved automatically while his mind replayed the scene upstairs. That little girl, that glass, that calm, dead voice saying, "I'm going to kill myself." Jamal had never said it out loud, but Marcus had seen it in his eyes near the end. That look that said, "I'm tired of fighting." That look that said, "It hurts too much." Marcus had spent every second of those final weeks trying to give his son reasons to hold on. And when Jamal finally let go, Marcus had felt relief mixed with his grief. Relief that his baby wasn't in pain anymore. But then the relief turned to guilt. And the guilt turned to self-hatred. And the self-hatred turned into 3 years of Lisa looking at him like he was a stranger. 3 years of arguments that ended with slammed doors and silent dinners. 3 years of slowly, inevitably falling apart. The night Lisa left, she'd said, "I can't be married to a ghost Marcus, and that's what you are now. A ghost of the man I married." She wasn't wrong. Marcus's shift ended at 2 p.m. He changed out of his uniform in the basement locker room and caught the red line back to Englewood. His studio apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that should have been condemned 20 years ago. The hallway smelled like weed and fried food. Someone was yelling in Spanish behind one door. A baby was crying behind another. Marcus unlocked 3 deadbolts and stepped inside. One room. Murphy bed pulled down from the wall. Kitchenette with a hot plate and a mini fridge. Bathroom with a toilet sink and shower stall too small to turn around in. And covering one entire wall, Jamal. Photos. Dozens of them. Jamal as a newborn wrapped in a blue blanket. Jamal's first birthday chocolate cake smeared on his face. Jamal in his preschool graduation cap. Jamal in his Little League uniform, bat on his shoulder, gap-toothed smile. Jamal in the hospital bald from chemo holding up a peace sign because the nurses had taught him that's what brave people do. And in the center, the last photo Marcus had ever taken. Jamal asleep in his hospital bed, one hand curled around a stuffed lion monitors, beeping softly in the background. He looked peaceful. He'd died 2 hours later. Marcus sank onto the edge of his bed and stared at his son's face. "I met a little girl today," he said out loud. He always talked to Jamal. It was the only thing that kept him sane. She was about to hurt herself, and I stopped her. I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I cared, but I did. The photos didn't answer. They never did. Her name is Amara. She's 8. Lost her dad 6 months ago. Car accident. And she's drowning Jamal. Just like you were drowning at the end. Just like I've been drowning ever since. Marcus's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. "Mr. Washington." Vivian Pierce's voice, professional but strained. "This is Vivian Pierce, from this morning." "Yes, ma'am." "I want to offer you a job, $5,000 a week, cash. Just spend time with Amara, talk to her. Whatever you did today, do that." Marcus closed his eyes. "Mrs. Pierce." "She asked about you. After you left. She asked if you were real or if she imagined you. She hasn't spoken that many words to me in 3 weeks." Vivian's voice cracked. "Please, I'm begging you. I'll pay anything. I'll sign anything. Just help my daughter." "It's not about money." "Then what do you want?" Marcus looked at Jamal's photos. At the shrine he'd built to a dead child. At the 6 years he'd spent just existing instead of living. "I want to know I can actually help her. Because if I can't, if I make things worse, you won't. You don't know that." "No. But I know what happens if we do nothing. She dies. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually. And I can't—" Vivian's breath hitched. "I can't bury my daughter. I can't. It'll kill me." Silence stretched between them. Marcus heard traffic outside his window, heard a siren in the distance, heard his own heart beating, still working, still keeping him alive, even though he'd stopped wanting it 2 years ago. "I'll come tomorrow," he finally said. "But not for money, not yet. I need to see if I can actually do this. If it works, we'll talk about payment. If it doesn't, you owe me nothing." "Thank you." Vivian was crying. "Thank you so much." After she hung up, Marcus sat in the silence of his apartment for a long time. Then he stood, walked to his closet, and pulled down a cardboard box from the top shelf. Inside were Jamal's things. The things Marcus couldn't bear to look at, but couldn't bear to throw away. A worn teddy bear missing one eye. A baseball glove that still smelled like leather and grass. A collection of Hot Wheels cars arranged by color. And at the bottom, wrapped in tissue paper, the wooden animals Marcus had carved during those long hospital nights when Jamal was sleeping and Marcus's hands needed something to do besides shake. A lion, an elephant, a giraffe, a bear, a rabbit. Marcus had made them because Jamal loved animals, but was too sick to go to the zoo. So Marcus brought the zoo to him, one carved figure at a time. He picked up the lion, ran his thumb over the smooth wood, remembered Jamal's face when he'd first seen it. "Daddy, you made this?" "Yeah, buddy." "It's so cool. Lions are the bravest animals." "Why's that?" "Because they protect their families. That's what you do, Daddy. You're like a lion." Marcus's hands were shaking. He wrapped the lion back in tissue paper and put it in his jacket pocket. Tomorrow he'd give it to Amara. Not as a replacement for what she'd lost, but as a bridge between her pain and his. A reminder that broken people could still create beautiful things. Chapter 6. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He lay on his Murphy bed staring at the water-stained ceiling and wondered what the hell he was doing. He wasn't a therapist, wasn't a counselor. He was a 45-year-old janitor who'd spent 6 years trying to disappear and now suddenly had a reason to be seen. At 9 a.m., he showered, shaved, and put on his only set of civilian clothes that weren't covered in paint stains or holes. Jeans. A button-down shirt. His one pair of decent shoes, brown leather scuffed at the toes. The address Vivian had texted him was in Lincoln Park. Old Money. The kind of neighborhood where the trees were perfectly trimmed and the sidewalks were cleaner than most people's kitchens. The building's doorman looked at Marcus the way doormen in nice neighborhoods always looked at black men who didn't arrive in luxury cars with polite suspicion. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Vivian Pierce, penthouse." The doorman's eyebrows went up. He checked his tablet. "Mr. Washington?" "Yes." "She's expecting you. Top floor." The elevator was all mirrors and brass. Marcus avoided looking at himself. He looked exactly like what he was, a broken man who had no business being in a building like this. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. No hallway, just straight into a living room that was bigger than every apartment Marcus had ever lived in combined. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan. The furniture was modern, all clean lines and neutral colors. Abstract art on the walls. Fresh flowers in crystal vases. Vivian Pierce stood by the windows. Without her business suit, she looked younger. Mid-30s, maybe. Natural hair pulled back in a low bun. Simple clothes, jeans, a sweater, but even her casual wear probably cost more than Marcus made in a month. "Mr. Washington?" She crossed the room, hand extended. "Thank you for coming." "Call me Marcus." He shook her hand. Her grip was firm, businesslike. "Marcus, would you like coffee, tea?" "I'm fine. Please sit." They sat in matching white armchairs. Everything in the room was white or beige or some shade of expensive neutrality. It felt sterile, like a showroom instead of a home. "Amara's in her room," Vivian said. "She's been in there since last night. Won't come out. Won't eat. I told her you were coming and she—" Vivian's professional facade cracked. "She asked if I was lying, if you were even real." Marcus's chest tightened. "Can I talk to her? Please." Vivian led him down a long hallway. The walls were covered with family photos. A tall man, dark skin, warm smile appeared in most of them. Amara's father, Daniel Pierce. Marcus recognized him from the news coverage 6 months ago. Successful entrepreneur, philanthropist. Died at 42 when his car hit black ice on I-90 and went into a ravine. They stopped at a door decorated with stickers. Unicorns, rainbows, black princesses with natural hair. Vivian knocked softly. "Amara, sweetheart, Marcus is here." Silence. Vivian looked at Marcus helplessly. He gestured for her to step back, then knocked himself. Firm, but gentle. "Amara, it's Marcus, the man from yesterday. I'd like to talk to you if that's okay. But if you don't want to open the door, I can sit out here. That works too." More silence. Then so quietly, Marcus almost missed it. "Come in." He opened the door. The room was dark curtains drawn lights off. Amara sat on her bed, knees pulled to her chest, wearing pajamas, even though it was mid-morning. Her hair was uncombed. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Marcus stepped inside and sat on the floor by the door. Not close, not threatening, just present. "Hey, you came back. I said I would. People say lots of things, doesn't mean they're true. You're right. But I'm here, so that's one true thing." Amara studied him. "Why did you come back?" "Because you asked me to." "That's it. That's it. My dad said he'd come home for dinner, but he didn't. He never came home." Marcus pulled the wooden lion from his pocket, set it on the floor between them. "My son loved lions. He said they were brave. So I made him this." Amara's eyes locked on the lion. "You made that?" "Yeah, took me 3 nights, sat by his hospital bed and carved while he slept." "Why?" "Because he was too sick to go to the zoo, so I brought the zoo to him." Amara slid off the bed, picked up the lion, turned it over in her small hands. "It's beautiful. It's yours." Her head snapped up. "I can keep it." "Yeah. Why would you give me something your son loved?" Marcus met her eyes. "Because he's not here to love it anymore, and maybe it'll help you the way it helped him." How did it help him? It reminded him that even when he felt weak, he could still be brave. Brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going, even though you are. Amara held the lion to her chest. "I'm scared all the time now." "What are you scared of?" "That I'll forget what my dad's voice sounds like. That I'll forget his laugh. That one day I won't be able to picture his face anymore." Marcus nodded. "I'm scared of the same thing about Jamal." "Do you forget sometimes?" "Yeah. And then I feel guilty for forgetting." "Me too." Amara's voice was so small. "Does that make me a bad daughter?" "No. It makes you human. Our brains aren't made to hold on to everything forever. But here's what I learned. You don't have to remember everything about your dad to love him. The love stays even when the memories fade." "How do you know?" "Because I still love Jamal, even on the days when I can't remember what his laugh sounded like. Love doesn't live in memories. It lives here." Marcus tapped his chest. "And nobody can take that away." Amara was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, "Will you tell me about Jamal?" Marcus smiled. It hurt, but it was real. "Yeah, I'd like that." He spent the next hour telling stories about his son. About the time Jamal tried to give their dog a bath and ended up wetter than the dog. About how Jamal used to pronounce spaghetti as baschetti until he was 6. About how Jamal had wanted to be a veterinarian when he grew up because he loved animals more than people. And Amara listened, really listened. And then she started talking about her dad, about how he used to make pancakes shaped like dinosaurs every Saturday, about how he'd sing off key in the car and not care who heard him, about how he'd taught her to ride a bike and run alongside her shouting, "You got this, baby girl," until she believed it. They talked until Amara's stomach growled. She looked embarrassed. "When's the last time you ate?" Marcus asked. Yesterday. Breakfast. Maybe. You hungry? Kind of. Let's get you some food. They walked out together. Vivian was in the living room, pacing her phone pressed to her ear. When she saw Amara smiling, holding Marcus's hand, she froze mid-sentence. I'll call you back. She hung up. Amara. Hi, Mom. The girl's voice was quiet, but present. I'm hungry. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Marcus over her daughter's head, mouthed the words, "Thank you." Marcus just nodded. They ate lunch together, grilled cheese sandwiches because that's what Amara wanted. Marcus sat at the kitchen island while Vivian cooked, and Amara told her mom about the wooden lion and Jamal and all the things she'd learned about grief in one morning. After lunch, Amara asked if Marcus could stay longer. He said yes. They spent the afternoon in her room. She showed him her drawings, all dark, all sad, but still beautiful. He showed her how to carve simple shapes from bars of soap. At 5 p.m., Vivian knocked on the door. Marcus, can I talk to you for a minute? In the living room, Vivian poured 2 glasses of wine, handed one to Marcus. He almost said he didn't drink, but he took it anyway. Didn't sip it, just held it. She talked to me, Vivian said. Her voice was thick. At lunch, she actually talked to me. About Daniel, about missing him. She hasn't said his name out loud since the funeral. That's good. It's a miracle. Vivian set down her glass. I want to hire you. Officially, $5,000 a week. You come here every day. Spend time with Amara. Help her heal. Mrs. Pierce. Vivian. Vivian, I'm not a therapist. I'm not qualified to... I don't want a therapist. I want you. Someone who understands what she's going through. Someone who doesn't try to fix her, just sits with her. Vivian leaned forward. Please, name your price. I'll pay anything. Marcus thought about his studio apartment, his dead-end job, his wall of photos, and 6 years of just surviving instead of living. I'll do it, but not for $5,000 a week. That's too much. What then? $1,000 a week, and I keep my night job. I come here during the day, but I still work at Pierce Global at night. Why? Because if this doesn't work, I need something to fall back on. And because I need to feel like I'm earning it, not just taking your money. Vivian studied him. You're not like most people. Most people didn't watch their kid die. She flinched, then nodded. Okay, $1,000 a week. We'll do a trial period. 1 month. If it's working, we make it permanent. Deal. Deal. They shook hands again. This time, it felt different. Less like a business transaction, more like a pact between 2 people who'd both lost everything and were trying to build something new from the rubble. As Marcus rode the elevator down, he pulled out his phone and looked at Jamal's photo. I think I found a way to keep you alive, buddy, he whispered. Through her. Through helping her. Maybe that's what you left behind, not just memories, but a purpose. Maybe that's how we both keep living. The elevator doors opened. Marcus stepped out into the late afternoon sun. For the first time in 6 years, he felt something other than pain. He felt hope, and it terrified him. The first week, Marcus came every day at 10 in the morning and stayed until 4. He'd take the red line from Englewood to Lincoln Park, walk 3 blocks to Vivian's building, and ride the elevator up to a world that still didn't feel real. Amara would be waiting. Sometimes in her room, sometimes in the living room. Once she was sitting by the door with her coat on at 9:30 an hour before he was supposed to arrive. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss you, she said when he walked in. That broke something in Marcus's chest, something that had been frozen for 6 years. They fell into a rhythm. Marcus would bring materials, bars of soap for carving paper, for folding clay, for molding. He'd sit on the floor of Amara's room, and they'd create things with their hands while they talked. Or didn't talk. Sometimes they'd sit in silence for an hour, just existing in the same space, and that was okay too. My therapist used to ask me how I was feeling every 5 minutes. Amara said one afternoon while shaping clay into a turtle. It made me not want to feel anything. Yeah, people think talking about feelings is the same as processing them. It's not. What's the difference? Talking about feelings is like describing a fire. Processing them is like sitting in the fire and learning it won't kill you. Amara looked up. Does it hurt? Sitting in the fire? Every time, but you get better at it. She nodded and went back to her turtle. They didn't speak for another hour. When Marcus left that day, Vivian was waiting in the hallway. She's sleeping through the night now, Vivian said. First time in 6 months. That's good. Marcus, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, don't stop. He didn't plan to. For the first time since Jamal died, Marcus had a reason to wake up in the morning, not just to survive the day, but to be part of someone else's survival. On Friday of that first week, Amara asked the question Marcus had been dreading. Can I meet your wife? They were folding paper cranes. Marcus's hands stopped mid-fold. I don't have a wife anymore. You're divorced. Yeah. Because of Jamal. Marcus set down his paper. Yeah. Because of Jamal. Why? It wasn't her fault he died. No, it wasn't. But sometimes when something terrible happens, people need someone to be angry at. And the only person around is the person you love most. So you get angry at them instead of at God or the universe or whatever took your kid away. Did you get angry at her? No, she got angry at herself. And I didn't know how to help her. I was drowning and she was drowning, and we just kept pulling each other under instead of helping each other float. Amara was quiet for a long time. Then she said, My mom cries at night. I can hear her through the wall. She tries to be quiet, but I can still hear her. She's grieving too. She lost your dad. I know. But she acts like she has to be strong all the time. Like if she's sad in front of me, it'll make me more sad. That's what parents do. We think we have to protect our kids from our pain, but sometimes that makes it worse. Why? Because then you feel like you have to protect us from your pain, and then everybody's pretending to be okay and nobody actually is. Amara picked up her paper crane. Will you tell my mom that? You should tell her. She won't listen to me. Yes, she will. You just have to be brave enough to try. That night after Marcus left, Amara walked into the living room where Vivian was working on her laptop. She stood there until her mother looked up. Mom. Yes, baby. I can hear you crying at night. Vivian's face went pale. Amara, It's okay. I cry too. Marcus said it's okay to be sad in front of each other. He said pretending to be okay makes it worse. Vivian closed her laptop. Her hands were shaking. I didn't want to make you more upset. I'm already upset, Mom. I'm upset all the time. But when you pretend you're not sad, it makes me feel like I have to pretend too. And I'm tired of pretending. Vivian stood and crossed to her daughter, knelt down so they were eye level. I miss your daddy so much. Me too. And I'm scared. I'm scared I'm going to mess this up. Scared I'm going to lose you too. You're not going to lose me, Mom. How do you know? Because Marcus promised he'd help me, and he keeps his promises. Vivian pulled her daughter into her arms and they cried together for the first time since Daniel died. Not separate grief, shared grief. The kind that makes you lighter instead of heavier. The next morning, Vivian called Marcus before he left his apartment. Thank you. For what? Last night Amara and I talked. Really talked. She told me she could hear me crying. And we let ourselves be sad together instead of hiding it. I don't think I've breathed that deeply in 6 months. Marcus smiled. She's a brave kid. She learned it from you. No, she already had it in her. I just reminded her where to find it. After they hung up, Marcus stared at his phone for a long time. Then he scrolled through his contacts to a name he hadn't called in 3 years. Lisa, his ex-wife. He stared at her number. His thumb hovered over the call button. He'd tried calling her 100 times in the first year after she left. She never answered. Eventually, he stopped trying. But now he wanted to tell her. Wanted to tell her about Amara. About how helping this little girl was helping him. About how maybe possibly he was learning to live again. He didn't call. He wasn't ready. Maybe he'd never be ready. He put the phone away and left for Vivian's apartment. When he arrived, Amara was waiting with something in her hands. A drawing. She held it out to him. "I made this for Jamal." Marcus took it. The drawing showed two boys, one black, one also black, but smaller, standing under a tree. They were holding hands. Above them, the sky was full of stars. "That's Jamal," Amara said, pointing to the taller boy. "And that's my dad. I think they're friends now, in heaven. I think they're taking care of each other." Marcus's vision blurred. He blinked hard, but the tears came anyway. He knelt down and hugged Amara tight. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much." She hugged him back. "You're welcome." That drawing went up on Marcus's wall that night, right in the center of all of Jamal's photos. And for the first time, the shrine didn't feel like a tomb. It felt like a bridge between past and present, between loss and hope. The second week, things got harder. Amara had a bad day on Tuesday. Woke up angry, threw things, screamed at her mother. When Marcus arrived, she was locked in her room and wouldn't come out. He sat outside her door, didn't knock, just sat. "Go away," she yelled from inside. "Okay, I'll just sit here." "I said go away. I heard you, but I'm not leaving. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to come out. I'm just going to sit here until you're ready." Silence. Then the sound of something breaking. Glass shattering. Marcus's heart rate spiked. He tried the door. Locked. "Amara, did you break something?" No answer. "Amara, I need you to tell me if you're hurt." More silence. Then so quietly he almost missed it. "I'm okay." "Can you open the door?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I broke something and Mom's going to be mad." "What did you break?" "A picture frame, the one with my dad." Marcus leaned his head against the door. "Accidents happen. Your mom's not going to be mad." "Yes, she will. Everything I touch breaks. I break everything." "That's not true." "Yes, it is. My dad died because of me." The words hung in the air like smoke. "Amara, what do you mean?" "He was coming home from my school play. If I hadn't been in the play, he wouldn't have been on that road. He wouldn't have crashed. He'd still be alive." "Oh, baby girl." Marcus pressed his palm against the door. "That's not your fault. That's not how fault works." "Yes, it is." "No, it's not. Your dad died because of ice on the road and bad timing and 1,000 things nobody could control. But not because of you. Never because of you." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. You want to know how I know?" Silence. "Because I blamed myself when Jamal died. I thought if I'd taken him to a different hospital, or tried a different treatment, or prayed harder, maybe he'd still be alive. I spent 2 years hating myself for not saving him." "But it wasn't your fault." "Exactly. And it wasn't yours either." The door opened. Amara stood there with red eyes and glass in her hair. She'd been sitting in the broken frame. Marcus's heart lurched. "Come here." He opened his arms and she fell into them. He carried her to the bathroom and sat her on the counter. Carefully picked glass out of her hair. She didn't flinch, just cried silently while he worked. "You know what your dad would say if he could see you right now?" Marcus asked. "What?" "He'd say, 'Baby girl, I love you,' and nothing, not death, not distance, not anything can change that. You didn't cause this. You didn't deserve this. And I need you to keep living your beautiful life, because that's how I stay alive too." Amara looked at him. "How do you know what he'd say?" "Because that's what I'd say to Jamal if I could." She hugged him again, tight, like she was afraid he'd disappear if she let go. When Vivian got home from work that evening, Marcus was still there. He'd stayed past his usual time, helped Amara clean up the broken glass, helped her tape the photo of her dad back together even though it was cracked. "Some things are more beautiful broken," he told her, "because you can see all the work it took to put them back together." Vivian found them in the kitchen making dinner. Spaghetti. Amara was laughing at something Marcus said. When she saw her mother, she ran over. "Mom, I'm sorry I broke the picture." Vivian looked at Marcus over her daughter's head. He nodded. "It's okay. It's okay, baby. Pictures can be replaced. You can't." After Amara went to bed, Vivian poured 2 glasses of wine and handed one to Marcus. This time he drank it. "She told me she thinks Daniel's death was her fault," Vivian said. "I know. She told me too. How do I fix that?" "You can't. You can only keep reminding her it's not true until she starts to believe it. And even then, on bad days, she'll forget. And you'll have to remind her again." Vivian sat down hard. "This is so much harder than I thought it would be." "Yeah, it is." "Do you ever get tired of carrying all this pain?" Marcus thought about his studio apartment, his wall of photos, his 6 years of just surviving. "Every day. But I'm less tired now than I was a month ago." "Why?" "Because I'm not carrying it alone anymore. I'm sharing it with Amara. And somehow, that makes it lighter for both of us." Vivian looked at him. Really looked at him. "You're a good man, Marcus Washington." "I'm just a man who lost his kid and doesn't want another kid to feel as alone as I did. That's what makes you good." Marcus finished his wine and stood. "I should go. Early shift tomorrow." "You're still working nights?" "Yeah." "Why, I'm paying you enough to quit." "Because if this falls apart, I need something to fall back on. And because—" He stopped. "Because what?" "Because being a janitor keeps me humble. Keeps me from thinking I'm something I'm not." "What do you think you're not?" "Qualified to do this. Smart enough? Good enough." Vivian stood and walked over to him, put a hand on his arm. "You are good enough. And if you can't believe that, yet believe that Amara thinks you are. Because she does. She told me tonight that you're her hero." Marcus's throat tightened. He nodded and left before the tears could fall. On the train ride home, he pulled out his phone again, scrolled to Lisa's number. This time he pressed call. It rang 4 times. He was about to hang up when she answered. "Marcus." Her voice. God, her voice. He hadn't heard it in 3 years, and it still sounded like home. "Hey, Lisa. Is something wrong? Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay. I wanted to tell you something." Silence on the other end. Then, "I'm listening." "I'm helping a little girl. She lost her dad 6 months ago, and I've been spending time with her, helping her grieve. And it's helping me too. I think I'm finally starting to heal." More silence. Then a sound that broke his heart. Lisa crying. "I'm so glad, Marcus. I'm so glad." "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything. For shutting you out. For not being strong enough to help you when you needed it. For—" "Don't. Please don't apologize. We both did the best we could. We just couldn't save each other." "I know. But I want you to know I don't blame you. For leaving, for needing to go. I get it now." "Thank you." Her voice was thick. "That means more than you know." They talked for 20 minutes. Not about getting back together. That ship had sailed. But about healing. About moving forward. About honoring Jamal by living instead of just existing. When they hung up, Marcus felt lighter. Not healed, but lighter. The 3rd week, Vivian asked Marcus to come to a meeting with Amara's school. "They want to talk about her coming back," Vivian said. "She's been out for 6 months. They need to know she's ready." "Is she?" "I don't know. That's why I need you there." The meeting was in the principal's office. A woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake introduced herself as Dr. Reynolds. Amara's teacher, Miss Chen, was there too. Young. Nervous. "Mrs. Pierce, we're glad Amara is doing better, Dr. Reynolds said. But we need to ensure she's ready to return. The other students have questions. Some are afraid." One child asked if death is contagious. Vivian flinched. Marcus leaned forward. "Kids are afraid of what they don't understand," he said. "So help them understand. Let Amara share her story if she wants to. Let the other kids ask questions in a safe space. Death isn't contagious, but fear is, and so is compassion." Miss Chen spoke up. "Mr. Washington, are you a grief counselor?" "No, I'm a father who lost his son. And I know what it's like when people treat you like you're broken instead of just hurt." Dr. Reynolds studied him. "What would you suggest?" "Let Amara come back part-time, a few hours a day. Let her ease in. And if she has a bad day, and she will, don't punish her for it. Give her a safe space to fall apart, and then help her put herself back together." "We can do that," Dr. Reynolds said. Amara started back to school the following Monday. Marcus walked her to the building. She was terrified. "What if they ask about my dad?" "Then you tell them the truth. He died. You miss him, and you're learning how to keep living without him." "What if they think I'm weird?" "Then they're not your people. Your people will get it, or they'll try to, and that's all that matters." She hugged him before going inside. "Will you be here when I get out?" "I'll be here." He was. Every day that week, and the next, and the next, waiting outside the school at 2:30 when the bell rang, walking her home, listening to her talk about her day, the good parts, the hard parts, all of it. By the end of the month, Amara was going to school full-time. She'd made a friend, a girl named Sophie, whose grandmother had died last year. They understood each other in ways other kids didn't. Sophie said grief is like carrying a backpack full of rocks, Amara told Marcus one afternoon. And every day you figure out which rocks you can put down and which ones you have to keep carrying. Sophie's a smart kid. Yeah, she is. On the last Friday of the month, Vivian asked Marcus to stay for dinner. It wasn't unusual he'd stayed for dinner before, but this time felt different. Formal. After they ate, after Amara went to her room to do homework, Vivian poured 2 glasses of wine and sat across from Marcus at the kitchen table. "I want to make this permanent." "Make what permanent?" "You, this. I want to hire you officially, not as a trial, as Amara's full-time support. I'll double your salary, $2,000 a week. You quit the night job. You focus on her." Marcus set down his glass. "Vivian, I know what you're going to say, that you're not qualified, that you need the backup plan. But Marcus, look what you've done. My daughter is going to school. She's sleeping, she's eating, she's laughing, she's living. And it's because of you. It's because of her. She did the work. With your help, so please, let me do this. Let me give you the security you need to keep doing this." Marcus thought about his studio apartment. His night shifts mopping floors. His life of invisible survival. Then he thought about Amara's smile, her laugh, her questions about Jamal, her drawing of the 2 boys in heaven. "Okay," he said, "but $2,000 is too much. $1,500. And I keep working nights twice a week. I need to remember where I came from." Vivian smiled. "Deal." They shook hands. Again. And Marcus realized this handshake felt different than the others. This one felt like family. That night, Marcus called his landlord and gave notice. He was moving out of Englewood. Found a better apartment in a better neighborhood. Not luxury, but safe. With heat that worked and windows that locked. When he packed up Jamal's photos, he cried. Not from sadness, from gratitude. Because his son had died, yes. But through that death, Marcus had found a way to live again. The last thing he packed was Amara's drawing of Jamal and her dad in heaven. He looked at it for a long time. "Thank you, buddy," he whispered. "Thank you for showing me the way back." Outside, Chicago hummed with life. Inside, Marcus Washington, invisible for 6 years, finally felt seen. And it was Amara who'd done the seeing. A broken 8-year-old girl who'd looked at a broken 45-year-old man and said, "Will you help me carry this?" And he'd said yes. And they'd both become lighter for it. 3 months in, everything fell apart. It started with a phone call. Marcus was walking Amara home from school on a Tuesday afternoon when Vivian called, her voice tight with controlled panic. "Marcus, don't come to the apartment. Meet me at the coffee shop on Clark Street, now." "What's wrong?" "Just meet me. Don't bring Amara inside. Keep her outside." Marcus's stomach dropped. He looked down at Amara, who was telling him about her art project, oblivious. "Okay. We'll be there in 10 minutes. They walked to the coffee shop. Marcus bought Amara hot chocolate and sat her at an outdoor table, even though it was cold. Told her to wait while he talked to her mom. She agreed, sipping her drink and watching pigeons fight over a dropped bagel. Inside, Vivian sat in the back corner. Her makeup was perfect, but her eyes were red. She'd been crying and then covered it up. Marcus slid into the seat across from her. "What happened?" "Child Protective Services called. Someone filed a complaint." The words hit Marcus like a fist. "What kind of complaint?" "That I'm allowing an unlicensed, unqualified man unsupervised access to my traumatized daughter. They're opening an investigation. They want to interview Amara. They want to interview you. They want medical records, therapy notes, everything." Marcus's hands clenched into fists under the table. "Who filed it?" "They won't say, but I know. The board. Someone on my board doesn't like that I've been distracted, that I've missed meetings, that I'm putting my daughter before the company." "Can they do that?" "They can do whatever they want. And if CPS decides I'm not providing adequate care, they can remove Amara from my home." Vivian's voice cracked. "They can take my daughter, Marcus. That's not going to happen." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because Amara's thriving. She's going to school. She's eating. She's sleeping. She's got friends. Any caseworker can see she's better now than she was 6 months ago." "But you're not licensed. You're not a professional. On paper, I'm letting a janitor take care of my grieving daughter. Do you know how that looks?" Marcus leaned back. The word janitor hung in the air between them like an insult. He knew she didn't mean it that way, but it still stung. "So what do you want me to do?" Vivian reached across the table, grabbed his hand. "I want you to fight with me. I want you to help me prove that what we're doing is working. That Amara needs you. That this isn't neglect or desperation. It's love." Marcus looked out the window at Amara. She was feeding crumbs to the pigeons now, smiling at how they fought over the food. 6 months ago, she'd tried to kill herself. Now she was feeding birds and laughing. "Okay," he said. "What do we do? We cooperate. We answer their questions. We show them the progress. And we pray they see what I see, that you saved my daughter's life." The CPS caseworker showed up 2 days later. Her name was Patricia Odom, mid-40s, black tired eyes that had seen too much. She sat in Vivian's living room with a clipboard and a recording device and asked questions for 2 hours. "Mrs. Pierce, when did you first employ Mr. Washington?" 3 months ago. "What are his qualifications?" "He has a degree in early childhood education. He taught elementary school for 8 years, and he understands grief because he lost his son." Patricia wrote something down. "And you believe those qualifications are sufficient?" "I believe results are sufficient. My daughter was suicidal 6 months ago. Now she's in school making friends and actually wants to live. If that's not sufficient, I don't know what is." "Mrs. Pierce, I'm not questioning your intentions. I'm questioning the legality of having an unlicensed individual provide mental health services to a minor. He's not providing mental health services. He's being a mentor, a friend, someone who understands what she's going through." "Does he spend time alone with her?" "Yes." "Unsupervised." Vivian hesitated. Marcus saw the trap. "I'm in the apartment. I work from home most days. They're never truly unsupervised. Patricia made another note. I'll need to interview Mr. Washington and Amara. Amara's in school right now. Then I'll come back tomorrow, with Mr. Washington present. After Patricia left, Vivian poured herself a drink at 2 in the afternoon. Marcus had never seen her drink during the day. They're going to take her, Vivian said. I can feel it. They're going to say I'm unfit and take her and put her in a facility and she'll never forgive me. Vivian, stop. You're spiraling. How can I not spiral? Everything I've built, everything I've worked for, and I can't even protect my own daughter from bureaucracy. Marcus sat beside her. You are protecting her. You found someone who could help when nobody else could. That's not neglect. That's being a good mother. Then why does it feel like I'm failing? Because the system is designed to make you feel that way. It's designed to question everything and trust nothing. But we're going to show them the truth. And the truth is that Amara is better, and that's because of you. Not just me. You. You're the one who didn't give up, who kept looking for answers, who had the courage to try something different. Vivian looked at him. How are you so calm? I'm not. I'm terrified. But I learned a long time ago that falling apart doesn't help. So we stay calm, we tell the truth, and we trust that the truth is enough. The next day, Patricia came back. This time, she wanted to talk to Marcus alone first. They sat in Vivian's home office. Patricia set up her recorder and pulled out a fresh set of forms. Mr. Washington, tell me about your background. Marcus took a breath and told her everything. His time in the Marines, his teaching career, Jamal's diagnosis, the 18 months of treatment, the death, the divorce, the years of barely surviving. And you believe that experience qualifies you to work with a traumatized child. I believe it qualifies me to understand what she's going through. I'm not trying to be her therapist. I'm trying to be someone who gets it. Gets what? What it's like when everyone tells you to move on, but you don't know how. What it's like when people treat you like you're broken instead of just hurt. What it's like when the only thing that helps is someone sitting with you and not trying to fix you. Patricia studied him. You lost your teaching license. I didn't lose it. I walked away. Why? Because I couldn't look at 7-year-olds without seeing my son. And I couldn't teach when all I wanted to do was die. And now I want to live, because of Amara. She gave me a reason to keep going. That's a lot of responsibility to put on an 8-year-old. Marcus leaned forward. I'm not putting it on her. I'm sharing it with her. There's a difference. She needs me to show her that life after loss is possible, and I need her to remind me that helping someone else heal helps me heal too. It's not one-sided. It's mutual. Patricia made notes. So many notes. Then she said, I need to talk to Amara now. Amara was in her room when Patricia knocked. Marcus waited outside. Vivian paced the hallway like a caged animal. Through the door they could hear Patricia's gentle questions, Amara's quiet answers. Do you like spending time with Mr. Washington? Yes. Why? Because he doesn't treat me like I'm weird. He treats me like I'm just sad. And that's okay. Does he ever make you uncomfortable? No. Does he ever touch you in ways you don't like? Vivian's fist went to her mouth. Marcus put a hand on her shoulder. No. Amara said, her voice firm. Marcus is nice. He gives me hugs when I'm sad, but only if I ask. He never makes me do anything I don't want to do. What do you do together? We make things. We fold paper. We carve soap. We talk about my dad and his son. He tells me stories about Jamal, and I tell him stories about my dad, and it makes me feel less alone. Do you think your mom is taking good care of you? Yes, she's the best mom. She's just sad too. We're all sad. But we're sad together now instead of alone. Marcus taught us that. Patricia asked more questions, 30 minutes worth. When she finally came out, her face was unreadable. I'll be in touch, she said. And then she left. Vivian collapsed onto the couch. I can't do this. I can't wait for them to decide if I'm a good enough mother. Marcus sat beside her. Then don't wait. Be proactive. Get letters of recommendation. From Amara's teacher, her principal, her pediatrician. Anyone who's seen the progress. Show CPS that this isn't just us saying it's working. Show them everyone sees it. Will you help me? Of course. They spent the next week gathering evidence. Miss Chen wrote a letter describing how Amara had gone from withdrawn and silent to engaged and participatory. Dr. Reynolds wrote about the remarkable turnaround. Amara's pediatrician noted her improved sleep appetite and overall health. Even Sophie's mother wrote a letter. My daughter lost her grandmother last year and struggled to connect with other kids who didn't understand grief. When Amara came back to school, they found each other. And Sophie told me that Amara said something beautiful. Grief isn't something to fix, it's something to carry together. That wisdom didn't come from an 8-year-old. It came from the adult teaching her. And whoever that adult is, they're doing something right. Marcus read that letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and added it to the stack. 2 weeks later, Patricia called. Vivian put her on speaker so Marcus could hear. Mrs. Pierce, I've completed my investigation. I've reviewed the documentation, interviewed the parties involved, and consulted with my supervisor. Vivian's hand found Marcus's. She squeezed so hard his fingers went numb. And I'm recommending the case be closed with no further action. Vivian's breath rushed out in a sob. Marcus closed his eyes. However, Patricia continued, I'm also recommending that Mr. Washington undergo a background check and register as a mentor through the state's approved program. It's a formality, but it protects everyone involved. Can you do that, Mr. Washington? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Good. You'll receive the paperwork by mail. Complete it within 30 days. Otherwise, I'll be forced to reopen the investigation. I understand. Thank you. After she hung up, Vivian turned to Marcus and hugged him so hard he couldn't breathe. We did it. Oh my God, we did it. Marcus hugged her back. Amara did it. She's the one who told them the truth. They pulled apart. Vivian was crying. So was Marcus. Relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. That night they told Amara. She was doing homework at the kitchen table when they sat down on either side of her. Baby, we need to tell you something, Vivian said. Amara's face went pale. Is Marcus leaving? No, Marcus said quickly. No, I'm not leaving. The opposite. I'm staying. Officially. The people who were investigating, they said I can keep helping you. They said what we're doing is good. Amara looked between them. Really? Really? She launched herself at Marcus, wrapped her arms around his neck. I was so scared you were going to leave. I'm not going anywhere, baby girl, I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep, she whispered against his shoulder. That's what my dad did. Marcus pulled back, looked her in the eyes. Your dad didn't break his promise on purpose. He didn't choose to leave you. But I'm choosing to stay. Every single day, I'm choosing to stay. And I'm going to keep choosing that for as long as you need me. Okay. She nodded. Okay. But Marcus saw the doubt in her eyes, the fear that everyone leaves eventually. And he understood it because he felt it too. The paperwork came a week later. Background check, reference forms, a mandated training course on child safety and trauma-informed care. Marcus filled it all out, went to the training, sat in a room with social workers and counselors and youth mentors, and learned terms he'd been practicing instinctively. During a break, one of the instructors approached him. Marcus, right, I heard your story, about your son. Marcus tensed. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't imagine. Thanks. Can I ask you something? Why are you doing this? Most people who lose a child can't be around other kids. It's too painful. Marcus thought about Amara. about her smile, her questions, her drawings, her progress. Because helping her helps me. Because I couldn't save my son. But maybe I can help save someone else's daughter. And because grief shouldn't be wasted. If I can take all this pain I've been carrying and use it to ease someone else's pain, then maybe Jamal's death means something. Maybe it becomes a bridge instead of just an ending. The instructor smiled. That's beautiful. And wise. It's survival, that's all. But it wasn't just survival anymore. Marcus was starting to realize that. He wasn't just existing. He was living. He was choosing to be present, to be useful, to matter. And that choice was changing him. The same week Marcus completed his training, something else happened. Something he didn't expect. A reporter called Vivian. Mrs. Pierce, I'm doing a story on unconventional approaches to child grief. I heard about your daughter and the mentor you hired. Would you be willing to talk about it? Vivian's first instinct was to say no. But then she thought about other parents, other children, other families drowning in grief with no idea how to swim. Let me talk to Marcus, she said. That night she presented the idea. This could help people, other families who are struggling, other kids who need what Amara needed. Marcus shook his head. I don't want to be in the news. I don't want attention. It's not about attention. It's about showing people there's another way, that you don't have to follow the traditional path, that sometimes the best help comes from people who've been there. And if it backfires, if people judge you, if the board uses it against you, let them. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of hiding the fact that my daughter was suicidal and a janitor saved her life. Because that's the truth. And maybe the truth will help someone else. Marcus looked at Amara, who was reading on the couch. What does she think? I think you should ask her. Marcus walked over, sat beside Amara. Hey, can I ask you something? Sure. Your mom got a call from a newspaper. They want to write a story about us. About how I've been helping you. How would you feel about that? Amara thought for a moment. Would they use my name? We can ask them not to. Would they talk about my dad? Probably. Would they say nice things about you? I don't know. She closed her book. I think you should do it. Because what if there's another kid like me out there who's really sad and doesn't know what to do? And what if their mom reads the story and thinks, maybe I can find someone like Marcus for my kid? Then that kid might feel better, like I do. Marcus's throat tightened. You're pretty smart, you know that. I know. She smiled. I get it from my dad. The interview happened the following week. The reporter, a woman named Jennifer Hayes, met them at Vivian's apartment. She was kind, respectful, and asked questions that hurt, but needed to be asked. Mr. Washington, what made you think you could help Amara when professionals couldn't? I didn't think I could. I just knew I had to try. Because when I saw her about to hurt herself, I saw my son, and I couldn't walk away. Do you think your lack of formal training helps or hurts? Both. It helps because I'm not trying to follow a protocol or a treatment plan. I'm just being human with her. But it hurts because I don't have the tools professionals have. I'm learning as I go. And some days I worry I'm doing it all wrong. Are you? Marcus looked at Amara, who was playing with clay at the kitchen table. I don't think so. She's alive. She's smiling. She's living instead of just surviving. So even if I'm doing it wrong, it's working. And that's what matters. Jennifer turned to Vivian. Mrs. Pierce, you're a CEO of a major company. You have resources most people don't. Why didn't you keep trying to find a qualified therapist? I did, for 6 months. And they all failed. Not because they weren't smart or skilled, but because they were treating symptoms instead of the person. They wanted to fix Amara's grief. Marcus just wanted to sit with her in it. And sometimes that's what healing looks like. Not fixing, just witnessing. Do you worry about the criticism? The people who'll say you were irresponsible? Every day. But I worry more about what would have happened if I'd kept doing what wasn't working. My daughter would be dead, or in a facility, or so medicated she couldn't feel anything, and I couldn't live with any of those outcomes. So yes, I took a risk, and it paid off. And if people want to judge me for that, they can. The article ran 2 weeks later. Front page of the Sunday Chicago Tribune. The headline read, "When traditional therapy failed, a janitor succeeded one family's unconventional path through grief." The response was immediate and divided. Some people called Vivian a hero, praised her for thinking outside the box, shared their own stories of loss and unconventional healing. Others called her reckless, said she'd endangered her daughter, questioned her judgment and fitness as a mother. The Pierce Global Board called an emergency meeting. Vivian spent 4 hours defending her choices to men in suits who'd never lost anyone they loved. "You've become a liability," one board member said. "This publicity reflects poorly on the company." "My daughter was dying," Vivian said, her voice steady and cold. "And I saved her. If that's a liability, then fire me, because I'd make the same choice again." They didn't fire her, but they put her on notice. One more incident, one more distraction, and they'd vote her out. Vivian came home exhausted. Marcus was there with Amara making dinner. He took one look at Vivian's face and knew. "What happened?" "They're looking for reasons to get rid of me. This article gave them ammunition." "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have agreed to it." "No, I'm glad you did. Because you know what happened today? I got 17 emails from parents. Parents whose kids are struggling. Parents who read the article and felt hope for the first time in months. And if I lose my job, but we help even one of those families, it's worth it." Marcus stared at her. "You'd really give up your company for this?" "In a heartbeat. My company is what I built. My daughter is who I am. There's no comparison." That night, after Amara went to bed, Marcus and Vivian sat on the balcony. Chicago sprawled below them, lights twinkling like fallen stars. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, "about those emails." "What about them? What if we could help them, all of them? What if we created something, a program, a support group, something for families like yours? Families who need help but can't find it in traditional places." Vivian turned to him. "You want to start a non-profit?" "I don't know. Maybe. I just know there are more kids like Amara out there, more parents like you. And if we can help them the way we helped each other, shouldn't we try?" "That's a big undertaking." "I know. And I don't know how to run a non-profit. I don't know how to fundraise or market or any of that. But I know how to sit with grieving kids. And you know how to build things, so maybe together we can figure it out." Vivian smiled. "You know what? Let's do it. Let's build something that matters, something that honors Amara's pain and Jamal's memory, something that helps people like us." They shook hands, again, but this time it felt different. This time it felt like the beginning of something bigger than both of them. Something that would change lives. Starting with their own. Building something from nothing turned out to be harder than either of them expected. Marcus spent his evenings researching nonprofit law while Amara did homework beside him. Vivian spent her lunch breaks cold calling potential donors and coming up empty. They had passion and a compelling story, but no money, no space, and no idea what they were doing. "We need a name first," Vivian said one night. They were sitting at her dining table, laptops open, coffee going cold. "Something that means something." "Jamal's house," Marcus said immediately, then stopped. "No, that's too personal. This isn't about me." "But it started with him, with what you learned losing him. And it grew because of Amara, because she taught me that grief shared is grief survived." Amara looked up from her math homework. "What about bridges?" They both turned to her. "What do you mean, baby?" Vivian asked. Marcus said grief can be a bridge instead of just an ending. What if we help people build bridges from the sad place to the okay place? We can't make them not sad, but we can help them cross over. Marcus felt his eyes burn. Bridges, I like that. Bridges through grief, Vivian added. That's it. That's the name. They filed the paperwork the next week. Marcus used his savings, what little he had, to pay the filing fees. Vivian contributed more, but insisted it come from her personal account, not the company. They were doing this together, equal partners, even if equal meant different amounts. The hardest part was finding other mentors, people who'd experienced loss and wanted to help others through it. Marcus put out calls through grief support groups, churches, community centers. Most people said no, said they weren't ready, said their pain was still too fresh. But some said yes. Maria Santos, 52, whose teenage daughter died by suicide. She showed up to their first meeting with red eyes and a notebook full of things she wished someone had told her when she was drowning. David Kim, 38, whose husband died in Afghanistan. He'd spent 5 years angry at the world before finding a therapist who helped him turn rage into purpose. Patricia. Yes, the same Patricia from CPS who'd lost her infant son to SIDS 20 years ago, and never stopped wondering if she could have prevented it. I shouldn't be here, Patricia said at that first meeting. Conflict of interest and all that. But when I read that article, when I saw what you're trying to build, I thought maybe this is what I've been waiting for, a way to take all this useless pain and make it useful. Marcus looked at her across the table. You investigated me. You almost took Amara away. I was doing my job, but you were right, about everything. And I'm tired of being the person who enforces rules that don't help anybody. I want to be the person who breaks rules that don't make sense. Marcus extended his hand. Welcome to Bridges. They met weekly, planned curriculum, developed guidelines, argued about approach. Maria wanted structure, weekly meetings, specific topics, measurable outcomes. David wanted freedom, let relationships develop organically, no forced conversations. Marcus and Patricia found themselves mediating, trying to build something that honored both perspectives. Here's what I learned from Amara, Marcus said during one particularly heated debate. You can't force healing. You can only create space for it. So yes, we need structure. Meeting times, safety protocols, background checks. But within that structure, we need freedom. Space for kids to lead, to say what they need to heal at their own pace. They all agreed. Mostly. Finding space was the next challenge. They needed somewhere to meet, somewhere safe, accessible, free. Churches said no, too much liability. Community centers had no room. Schools were bureaucratic nightmares. Then Vivian came home one day with news. I found a place. Marcus looked up from the grant application he'd been writing. His 5th attempt. His 5th rejection waiting to happen. Where? My building, Pierce Global. There's unused space on the 3rd floor. Conference rooms we barely touch. I talked to the board. And they said yes. They said yes to a 6-month trial. If there are no incidents, no liability issues, we can stay. If there are problems, we're out. Marcus set down his pen. Vivian, you're already on thin ice with them. If this goes wrong, it won't. You don't know that. No, but I know that doing nothing is worse than trying and failing. And I know that building has empty rooms while kids are suffering. That's obscene. So we're using the rooms. Amara walked in from her bedroom. Mom, are you starting the grief place at your work? Yes, baby. Good. That building needs more sadness. It's too shiny. All those people walking around pretending everything's perfect. Maybe if they see kids who are sad, they'll remember it's okay to be sad too. Marcus laughed. Out of the mouths of babes. They opened Bridges Through Grief on a Saturday in November. Cold, gray, perfect grief weather. Marcus arrived early, set up chairs in a circle, put out tissues and water bottles and coloring supplies. His hands shook. What if nobody came? What if people came and it was terrible? What if he made things worse? Vivian found him sitting alone in the circle at 9:30. The first session started at 10. You okay? No, I'm terrified. Good. That means you care. What if I can't help them? Then they'll be exactly where they are now. But what if you can? It was the same thing she'd said to him 8 months ago. The same leap of faith. At 9:55, the first family arrived. A mother and her 10-year-old son. The boy's father had died of a heart attack 3 months prior. The kid walked in with his head down, hoodie up, hands in pockets. Marcus recognized that posture. That was the leave me alone posture. That was the I'm only here because my mom made me posture. Marcus didn't try to shake his hand or force conversation. Just nodded. Hey, I'm Marcus. Grab a seat anywhere. The boy sat in the chair farthest from the circle. By 10:15, 6 families had arrived. 12 people, total 6 kids, 6 parents. All carrying loss like heavy backpacks. All looking at Marcus like he might have answers. He didn't, but he had experience. And sometimes that was enough. Thanks for coming, Marcus started. His voice sounded too loud in the quiet room. I'm Marcus. I lost my son 6 years ago. His name was Jamal. He was 7, leukemia. And for a long time after he died, I wanted to die too. The room went completely still. People didn't usually start grief groups with that level of honesty. I'm not going to tell you it gets better, or that time heals all wounds, or any of the garbage people told me that made me want to punch them. I'm going to tell you the truth. It doesn't get better. It gets different. Some days are okay. Some days are hell. And that's normal. A woman in the back started crying. Her daughter, maybe 8, put a hand on her mom's knee. We're not here to fix you. We're not here to make you stop being sad. We're here to sit with you in it, to remind you that you're not alone, that other people have felt this bad and survived, and to help you figure out how to keep living even when you don't want to. Marcus looked at each person. So here's how this works. We meet every Saturday. Same time, same place. You can come every week or once a month or never again after today. No pressure, no judgment. And what's said here stays here. We don't gossip. We don't fix. We just listen. He paused. Anybody want to share? You don't have to. But if you want to, we're listening. Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence. Then the 10-year-old boy in the back, the one with the hoodie, spoke. My name is Tyler. My dad died, and I'm really angry about it. Marcus nodded. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to tell us why you're angry? Because he promised we'd go to a Bulls game. We had tickets. Good tickets. And then he died. And now I can't go because going without him would be too sad. But not going makes me angry because he promised. So you're stuck. Going feels wrong, not going feels wrong, and you're mad at your dad for putting you in that position. Tyler looked up. Yeah. That's grief, man. It's just anger that doesn't have anywhere to go. And it's okay to be angry at your dad, even though he didn't mean to break his promise. But people say I shouldn't be angry at dead people. People say a lot of dumb things. You can be angry at your dad. You can be angry at God. You can be angry at the whole world. And all of that is okay. Tyler pulled his hoodie down. Really? Really? The boy's mother was crying silently. Tyler looked at her. Mom, are you mad at Dad too? She nodded. Every day. Me too. They hugged. Right there in the circle. And Marcus felt something shift in the room. Permission. Permission to feel whatever they felt without shame. After that, others started talking. A 6-year-old whose grandmother died. A 12-year-old whose brother was killed in a drive-by. A 14-year-old whose best friend committed suicide. Each story different. Each story the same. All of them drowning. All of them desperate for someone to throw them a rope. Marcus didn't have a rope, but he had a hand. And sometimes a hand was enough. The session ran 2 hours instead of 1. Nobody wanted to leave. Parents exchanged numbers. Kids made plans to meet up outside group. When everyone finally filtered out, Marcus sat in the empty circle and put his head in his hands. Maria found him like that. "You okay?" "Yeah. Just that was intense." "That was beautiful. You gave those people something they've been desperate for." "What?" "Permission to be human." Vivian appeared in the doorway with Amara. "How did it go?" Marcus looked up. "I think we're going to need more chairs." Word spread fast. By the 3rd week they had 20 families. By the 6th week, 35. The conference room on the 3rd floor wasn't big enough anymore. Vivian negotiated with the board for more space. They said no. She went over their heads to the CEO, who happened to be her friend from business school, and got a yes. By December, Bridges. Through Grief had 2 rooms, 4 volunteer mentors, and a waiting list. The board was not pleased. "You're turning Pierce Global into a charity," one member complained at a quarterly meeting. "This isn't what we do." "No," Vivian said. "This is exactly what we do. We build things. We create solutions. And right now there are hundreds of grieving families in Chicago with nowhere to go. So we're giving them somewhere. And if that bothers you, feel free to resign." Nobody resigned. But the tension was thick. Marcus felt it every time he walked into the building. Staff members whispered. Security guards watched him closer than they used to. He was no longer invisible, but he wasn't welcome either. One night, after a particularly good session, Marcus was cleaning up the room when a man in an expensive suit walked in. "You're Marcus Washington?" "Yes, sir." "Robert Chen, board member. I've been watching what you're doing here." Marcus's stomach dropped. "If this is about the space..." "It's not. I wanted to thank you." Marcus blinked. "Sir." Robert pulled out his phone, showed Marcus a photo of a teenage boy, Asian, smiling, wearing a basketball jersey. "My nephew. He died 2 years ago. Car accident. My sister hasn't been the same since. She's..." His voice cracked. "She's barely surviving. And I didn't know how to help her, didn't know where to point her. Then I read that article about you and Mrs. Pierce, and I sent it to my sister. And she came to your group 3 weeks ago." The woman with the blue coat. The one who didn't talk. That's her. She didn't talk that first week, or the second. But last week she called me, and she said, "I think I'm going to be okay." First time she said anything like that in 2 years. Robert extended his hand. Marcus shook it. "Whatever you need, funding, space, legal support, you ask me. I'll make it happen." "Sir, I appreciate that, but I don't want to cause problems with the board." "The board answers to shareholders. And I'm a major shareholder. Don't worry about them. Worry about helping people like my sister. That's what matters." After Robert left, Marcus sat in the empty room and cried. Not from sadness, from gratitude. From the overwhelming sense that maybe, just maybe, Jamal's death hadn't been meaningless. Maybe it had been the worst thing that ever happened to Marcus, so he could become the best thing that happened to kids like Amara and Tyler and all the others. Christmas came. Marcus spent it with Vivian and Amara. It was the first holiday since Jamal died that Marcus didn't spend alone in his apartment staring at photos. They decorated a tree, made cookies, watched movies. Amara gave Marcus a present, a wooden frame she'd decorated herself, holding the drawing of Jamal and her dad in heaven. "So you can remember they're together," she said. Marcus hugged her so tight she squeaked. "Thank you, baby girl." Vivian gave him something too, an envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000. "What is this?" "Seed money, for Bridges. To hire staff, rent, permanent space, expand. You can't keep running this out of my conference rooms forever." "Vivian, I can't accept this. It's not for you. It's for the organization. And it's not charity. It's an investment. I believe in what we're building. So take the money and build something that lasts." Marcus looked at the check, at Vivian, at Amara, at this family he'd somehow become part of. "Okay, but on one condition." "What?" You're not just a donor, you're co-founder. This is your thing as much as mine." Vivian smiled. Deal. They spent the rest of Christmas planning, drawing up budgets, discussing expansion, dreaming big. That night, after Amara went to bed, Marcus and Vivian sat on her balcony. Snow was falling rare for Chicago in December. The city looked clean under its white blanket. "Can I ask you something?" Vivian said. "Sure." "Do you ever think about dating again?" The question caught Marcus off guard. "Sometimes. Why?" "Because you're a good man. You deserve to be happy, and I worry that you're so focused on everyone else's healing that you're neglecting your own." "I am healing. Through this, through Amara, through bridges." "I know, but that's not the same as moving forward. That's not the same as opening yourself up to new love." Marcus was quiet for a long time. "I don't know if I'm ready." "That's okay. I'm not ready either. Daniel's only been gone a year, but I think about it sometimes. About what it would be like to let someone in again. About whether I'm allowed to be happy when he's not here." "Are you asking my permission?" Vivian laughed. "No, I'm asking if you think it's possible to love someone new without betraying the person you lost." Marcus thought about Jamal, about Lisa, about all the years he'd spent alone, because being alone felt like the penance he owed. "Yeah," he finally said. "I think it's possible. I think the people we lost would want us to keep living, keep loving, keep trying. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts, because that means we're still capable of feeling something, and feeling something is better than feeling nothing." Vivian reached over and squeezed his hand. Not romantic, just connection. Two people who'd survived hell and were slowly learning to live again. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything. Thank you for letting me be part of your family. You are family. You and Amara, you saved each other. And you both saved me." They sat in comfortable silence while snow fell and the city slept. And somewhere, somehow, broken people were learning to be whole again. The new year brought challenges. Bridges outgrew the Pierce Global building. They needed their own space. Vivian used her connections to find a vacant storefront in Bronzeville. Robert Chen covered the first year's rent. Other donors started emerging parents whose kids had been helped, community members who believed in the mission. Even some of Vivian's board members who'd come around. By February, Bridges. Through Grief had its own location. By March, they had 5 paid staff members. By April, they were serving 70 families across 3 weekly sessions. Marcus quit his night custodial job. It was time. He was no longer invisible. He was necessary. But with growth came complications. One of their mentors, a woman named Sandra, was accused of being too harsh with a grieving teenager. The girl's mother threatened to sue. Marcus spent weeks mediating, explaining, defending. Eventually, they resolved it, but it left him shaken. "I can't control what everyone does," he told Vivian one night. "What if someone gets hurt on my watch? Then we deal with it. But Marcus, you can't let fear of what might go wrong stop you from doing what's going right. Look at what we've built. Look at the lives we have changed." She was right, but the fear lingered. In May, something happened that tested everything they'd built. A 12-year-old boy named Jordan showed up to group. His father had died by suicide 6 weeks prior. The kid was angry, hostile, wouldn't engage. Marcus tried everything. Nothing worked. Then one Saturday, Jordan didn't show up. His mother called frantic. "He left a note. He said he's going to the bridge, the one where his dad jumped. He said he's going to finish what his dad started." Marcus's blood went cold. "Call 911. I'm on my way." He grabbed his keys and ran. Vivian called after him, but he was already gone. Drove 90 miles an hour across the city to the bridge Jordan's father had jumped from. Found cop cars already there. Found Jordan standing on the edge, 1 foot dangling over open air. Marcus got out of his car slowly, walked toward the police barricade. "Sir, you can't be here," a cop said. "That's my kid. From my grief group. Let me talk to him. We have a negotiator. I don't care. Let me through or I'm going anyway. The cop looked at his partner, nodded. Marcus walked onto the bridge. Every step felt like walking through water. His heart hammered, his hands shook. But his voice was steady when he called out, "Jordan!" The boy turned, eyes wild, tears streaming. "Don't come closer." Marcus stopped. "Okay, I'm staying right here, but I need you to talk to me." "Why? So you can tell me it gets better, so you can lie like everyone else." "No, so I can tell you the truth. It doesn't get better, and some days it doesn't even get different. Some days it just hurts." Jordan's face crumpled. "Then why should I keep going?" "Because your dad made a choice, his choice, not yours. And you don't honor him by making the same choice. You honor him by living different, by choosing different." "I can't do it without him." "Yes, you can. It'll be hard. The hardest thing you ever do, but you can." "How do you know?" "Because I did it. 6 years ago, I wanted to jump off a bridge too. Wanted to stop existing. But I didn't. And now I'm standing here talking to you. And if I'd jumped, we never would have met. And all those other kids at bridges, they'd be alone. Is that what you want? To leave other kids alone in their pain?" Jordan was sobbing now. "I just miss him so much." "I know. I miss my son every single day. But he wouldn't want me to die too. And your dad doesn't want you to die. He wants you to live, even if he couldn't figure out how to do it himself. You promise?" "Yeah, Jordan, I promise." The boy stepped back from the edge. Marcus ran forward and grabbed him, held him while he collapsed, held him while police and paramedics swarmed, held him while his mother arrived and took over. In the ambulance, Jordan looked at Marcus. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. You've got hard work ahead." "Will you help me?" "Every step." That night, Marcus went home to his apartment and broke down, called Vivian sobbing. "I almost lost him. I almost watched another kid die." "But you didn't. You saved him." "What if next time I can't?" "Then next time someone else will. Marcus, you can't save everyone, but you saved him today. That's enough." It had to be enough. Because Marcus was learning that this work, this beautiful, terrible work, was going to break him over and over again. And every time he'd have to put himself back together and show up anyway. Because that's what love required. That's what Jamal would have wanted. That's what all these kids needed. Someone who'd keep showing up even when it hurt, even when it was hard, even when it would be easier to walk away. Marcus wasn't walking away. Not now. Not ever. He was staying. For Amara. For Jordan. For every kid who needed to know that broken people could still be whole. That grief could be survived. That love was stronger than loss. He was staying. And he was building bridges. One kid at a time. Jordan's attempted suicide changed everything. The story hit the news within hours. Local stations ran segments about the grief group mentor who talked a kid off a bridge. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, donors, parents wanting to enroll their kids, other organizations wanting to collaborate. Marcus turned off his phone and sat in the dark. Vivian found him there at midnight. She'd let herself in with the spare key he'd given her months ago. "You can't hide from this. Watch me." She sat beside him on the floor. Didn't turn on lights, just sat. "You saved that boy's life." "I got lucky. What if I hadn't gotten there in time? What if he'd jumped before I could talk him down? What if my words hadn't been enough?" "But they were. This time. What about next time?" Vivian turned to face him. "Marcus, you can't carry every kid on your back. You can't prevent every tragedy. You can only show up and do your best. That's all any of us can do." "My best got my son killed." The words hung in the air between them. Marcus had never said that out loud before. "What are you talking about? I should have pushed for different treatment, should have taken him to a different hospital, should have done something, anything different, and he'd still be alive." "You don't know that." "I do. I replay it every night, every decision I made, every choice, and I see all the ways I failed him. Vivian grabbed his face with both hands, forced him to look at her. Listen to me. You did not kill your son. Cancer killed your son. And you did everything humanly possible to save him. Just like you did everything possible to save Jordan today. And you succeeded. You saved him. Do you hear me? Marcus's vision blurred. I'm so tired, Vivian. I'm so tired of carrying this. Then let me help you carry it. She pulled him into her arms, and he broke. Sobbed like he hadn't sobbed since the night Jamal died. Let 6 years of guilt and grief and rage pour out of him while Vivian held him and whispered that it was okay, that he was okay, that he was allowed to fall apart. When he finally stopped crying, she said, "You know what you need." What? Therapy. Real therapy. You've been helping everyone else process their grief, but you've never processed your own. I can't afford therapy. Then I'll pay for it. Marcus, you can't keep running on empty. You'll break. And then you can't help anybody. She was right. He knew she was right. The next week, Marcus started seeing Dr. Lynn Morrison, a grief specialist who'd worked with combat veterans. She was in her 60s, black, with eyes that had seen everything and judged nothing. Tell me about Jamal, she said in their first session. Marcus spent an hour talking about his son. The good parts, the hard parts, the end. Now tell me why you think it's your fault he died. Because I was his father. I was supposed to protect him. From cancer. From everything. Marcus, you're not God. You're just a man. A good man who loved his son and did everything he could. But you couldn't cure cancer. Nobody can. Then why does it feel like I failed him? Because grief looks for someone to blame. And when there's no one else, it blames us. But blame isn't the same as truth. They worked on that for months. Slowly, painfully, Marcus started to separate what he'd actually done from what he felt he'd done. Started to see that loving Jamal and losing Jamal weren't contradictions. That being a good father and watching his child die weren't mutually exclusive. It didn't fix him, but it helped him breathe. While Marcus worked on himself, bridges continued to grow. By summer, they had 100 families in their program. By fall, they'd opened a second location on the south side. By the following winter, they were being approached by other cities wanting to replicate the model. Marcus and Vivian spent countless hours on the phone with Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Denver, talking about what worked, what didn't, how to screen mentors, how to create safe spaces, how to help without trying to fix. We're building something bigger than us, Vivian said one night. They were in her living room, buried under paperwork, while Amara watched TV in her room. Yeah, and it's terrifying. Why? Because what if we mess it up? What if we scale too fast and lose what made it special? What if we hurt more people than we help? Then we'll deal with it. But Marcus, think about all the kids who need this, all the families drowning because nobody's throwing them a lifeline. We can't not try just because we might fail. Marcus looked at her. Really looked at her. She'd changed in the 2 years since they'd met. Less polished. More human. Her hair was natural now, not straightened. She wore less makeup. Smiled more. Cried more. Lived more. When did you get so brave? She laughed. When a janitor walked into my life and showed me that broken doesn't mean useless. Something shifted between them in that moment. Something had been shifting for months if Marcus was honest. The way she looked at him. The way he looked at her. The way their hands lingered when they passed papers. The way they found excuses to be near each other. Vivian. Don't. She held up a hand. Don't say it unless you mean it. Because if you say it and you mean it, everything changes. And I don't know if I'm ready for everything to change. What if I am ready? Are you really? Because I come with a daughter and a company and a dead husband I still love, And I can't do casual. I can't do halfway. If we do this, it's all in. And that's a lot to ask. Marcus set down his pen. I lost my son. I lost my wife. I lost 6 years of my life to grief. And then I met your daughter. And she gave me a reason to keep breathing. And you gave me a reason to keep building. So yeah, I'm ready. I've been ready. I was just waiting for you to be ready too. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. What about Daniel? What about Jamal? Are we betraying them? No, we're honoring them. By choosing to live. By choosing to love again. I think they'd want that for us. How do you know? Because if Jamal were here, if he could talk to me, he'd say, Dad, stop being sad. Find someone who makes you happy. And I think Daniel would tell you the same thing. Vivian wiped her eyes. This is crazy. We're crazy. Maybe. But I'm tired of being alone. Aren't you? Every single day. Then let's not be alone anymore. He reached for her hand. She took it. And something that had been broken in both of them started very slowly to mend. They didn't tell Amara right away. Wanted to make sure it was real first. Wanted to make sure they weren't just two lonely people clinging to each other in the dark. But Amara figured it out anyway. Kids always do. Are you and my mom dating? She asked Marcus one afternoon. They were making cookies while Vivian was at work. Marcus froze mid-stir. What makes you ask that? Because she smiles different now, and you look at her the way my dad used to look at her. Marcus set down the spoon, knelt so he was eye level with Amara. Would that bother you if your mom and I were together? Amara thought about it seriously. I don't know, maybe, because it means my dad really isn't coming back. He's not coming back, sweetheart. He never was. I know, but if Mom dates you, then it's like she's admitting it, like she's giving up on him. Is that what you think? That loving someone new means giving up on the person you lost? Doesn't it? Marcus took her small hands in his. When Jamal died, I thought I'd never love anyone again. I thought loving someone new would be like saying, Jamal didn't matter. But you know what I learned? What? Love doesn't run out. Loving someone new doesn't take away from loving someone who's gone. Your mom will always love your dad. Always. But she can love me too. And both those things can be true at the same time. Like how I love my dad, but I also love you. Marcus's throat tightened. Yeah, exactly like that. Amara hugged him. Then I think it's okay. I think Dad would want Mom to be happy, and you make her happy. You make me happy, baby girl. I know. She pulled back and grinned. So when's the wedding? Marcus laughed. Slow down. We're not getting married. Yet, Amara said confidently. But you will. I can tell. That night, Marcus told Vivian about the conversation. She's okay with it. More than okay. Vivian exhaled relief. Thank God. I was so worried she'd feel like I was replacing Daniel. She knows you're not. She's smarter than both of us. Yeah, she is. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Vivian said, Marcus, I need to tell you something about the company. His stomach dropped. What? The board voted. They want me out. They've been wanting me out since the article, since Bridges, since I started putting my family before profits. And now they have enough votes to force me out. When? End of the month. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. No, it's my choice. I chose to build bridges. I chose to prioritize Amara. I chose to be human instead of just successful. And I'd make the same choice again. What are you going to do? I'm going to let them buy me out, take the money, and invest it in bridges. Full time. No more corporate board. No more playing politics. Just this. Just helping families. Marcus stared at her. You're walking away from Pierce Global. I built that company. I can walk away from it. What I can't walk away from is this. Us. The work we're doing. That's what matters now. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. They went public with their relationship on New Year's Eve, threw a party at the Bridges Center, invited all the families, all the volunteers, all the people who'd been part of their journey. When midnight came, Marcus kissed Vivian in front of everyone. The room erupted in cheers. Amara ran up and hugged them both. "Finally," she yelled. "I've been waiting forever for you two to figure it out." Marcus laughed and picked her up. "You're too smart for your own good." "I know. I get it from my dad, and from you." Those words, "and from you," hit Marcus harder than he expected. Because somewhere along the way, he'd become a father again. Not Amara's biological father, but a father who showed up, who listened, who loved her even when she was difficult, who chose her every single day. That spring, Bridges received a major grant. $500,000 from a national foundation. Enough to expand to 10 cities. Enough to hire full-time staff. Enough to build something that would outlast both Marcus and Vivian. They hired Maria as executive director, Patricia as director of training, David as head of mentor recruitment, and Marcus became what he'd always been, the face of Bridges, the person who showed up at every group, every event, every crisis, the living proof that broken people could build beautiful things. 2 years after they met, Marcus asked Vivian to marry him. He did it at Amara's school, at her 4th grade career day. He'd been invited to speak about Bridges, about turning pain into purpose. At the end, he looked at Amara in the front row. "I lost my son 6 years ago, and for a long time, I thought that meant I'd never be a father again. But then I met a little girl who taught me that family isn't just blood, it's choice, it's showing up, it's loving someone even when it's hard." He turned to Vivian, who was standing in the back of the classroom. "And I met a woman who taught me that it's okay to love again. That loving someone new doesn't betray the person you lost. That grief and joy can coexist. That broken people can build whole families." He got down on one knee. The kids gasped. Amara started crying. "Vivian Pierce, will you marry me?" Vivian was crying too. "You're doing this in front of 49-year-olds. Seemed appropriate. Amara, what do you think? Should your mom marry me?" Amara ran up to the front, grabbed the microphone. "Mom, say yes or I'm never talking to you again." The class erupted in laughter. Vivian walked to the front, wiping her eyes. "That's not fair. You're peer pressuring me with children." "Is it working?" "Yes, you idiot. Yes, I'll marry you." They kissed. The kids cheered. Amara jumped between them and hugged both their legs. "We're going to be a real family." Marcus picked her up. "We already are a real family, baby girl. This just makes it official." They got married 6 months later. Small ceremony at the Bridges Center. Just family, close friends, and the kids from their groups. Amara was the maid of honor. She wore a purple dress and gave a speech that made everyone cry. "My dad died when I was 8. And I thought that meant I'd never have a dad again. But then Marcus showed up. And he didn't try to replace my dad, he just loved me anyway. He showed me that you can miss someone and still be happy, that you can carry sadness and still have joy, and that family isn't about who you lose, it's about who stays." She looked at Marcus. "You stayed. Even when I was mean, even when I pushed you away, even when it was hard. You stayed. And that's what dads do. So thank you for being my dad. My second dad. The dad who showed up when I needed one most." Marcus was sobbing. So was everyone else. He pulled Amara into a hug and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a reason to keep living. Thank you for showing me how." Vivian joined the hug, and there in the center, they'd built from grief and hope and stubborn determination, 3 broken people became one whole family. 5 years later, Bridges. Through Grief operated in 43 cities across the United States. They'd helped over 10,000 families, trained over 500 mentors, published research on peer grief support, changed policies at the state level, But Marcus didn't measure success by numbers. He measured it by moments. Jordan, the boy from the bridge, was now 19 and training to be a bridge's mentor himself. Tyler, the angry 10-year-old from that first group, was 15 and had started a grief support club at his high school. Amara was 14, thriving, still sad sometimes, still missing her dad, but living, really living. She'd started a blog about grief, about what it's like to lose a parent young, about how Marcus had saved her life just by showing up. Marcus read every post, cried at most of them, felt grateful for all of them. One night, he and Vivian sat on their balcony. They'd moved out of her penthouse into a house in Hyde Park, big enough for a family, warm enough for a home. "Do you ever think about him?" Vivian asked. "Jamal?" "Every day, but it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. Now it's more like I don't know, a gentle ache instead of a stabbing pain." "I feel the same way about Daniel. Like he's still here, just in a different way. Through Amara, through the memories, through the love that doesn't stop just because someone dies." Marcus took her hand. "Do you think they're watching us, Jamal and Daniel?" "I'd like to think so. I'd like to think they're proud of what we built, how we took all that pain and turned it into something that helps people." "I hope so. Because I think about Jamal every time I walk into Bridges, every time I sit with a grieving kid, every time I tell someone it's okay to be sad. He's why I do this. He's the reason any of this exists. And Daniel's why I fight for it, why I left my company, why I chose this life over that one. Because he taught me that love matters more than success, that family matters more than money, that being present matters more than being powerful." They sat in comfortable silence. The city hummed below them. Inside, Amara was probably on her phone, texting her friends, living the normal teenage life she'd almost never gotten to live. "We did good," Marcus said. "Yeah, we did. You know what the best part is?" "What?" "We're not done. There are still kids out there who need us. Still families drowning. Still work to do." Vivian smiled. "Then I guess we better keep showing up." "Yeah, I guess we better." Marcus thought about the man he'd been 8 years ago. Invisible. Broken. Desperate. Mopping floors and wishing he was dead. That man couldn't have imagined this life, this family, this purpose. But he'd taken one step. Just one. He'd walked into a room where a little girl was holding glass to her wrist, and he'd sat down, and he'd stayed. That's all it took. One decision. One moment of choosing to care when it would have been easier not to. And from that one moment, everything had changed. Not just for Amara, not just for Vivian, but for thousands of people who needed to know that grief doesn't have to be carried alone, that broken people can still be whole, that love is stronger than loss. Marcus pulled out his phone, looked at the photo of Jamal he'd had for 8 years, added a new photo beside it, Amara smiling, holding up her high school acceptance letter. 2 kids, one lost, one found. Both loved, both remembered. "Hey, buddy," Marcus whispered to Jamal's photo. "Look what we built. Look what your life made possible. You're still here. You're still making a difference. And I promise I'll keep making you proud. Every single day. For the rest of my life." Vivian put her head on his shoulder. Inside, Amara called out, asking what they wanted for dinner. "Tacos!" Marcus yelled back. "Always tacos with you." Amara laughed. "That's because tacos are perfect. Normal conversation, normal family, normal life. Except there was nothing normal about it. Because this family had been built from grief, forged in pain, constructed from the broken pieces of people who shouldn't have survived, but did. And maybe that was the point. Maybe that's what Bridges was really about. Not just helping people survive grief, but showing them how to build something beautiful from the rubble. How to take the worst thing that ever happened and transform it into the best thing they'd ever do. How to turn pain into purpose. Loss into legacy. Grief into grace. Marcus Washington had been a janitor. Invisible. Nobody. Nothing. And then, a CEO's daughter pressed glass to her wrist, and he did the unthinkable. He chose to care, and that choice saved them both.